Hey guys, what's up? It's Joey here from Bulletproof for BJJ. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can use a foam roller to move better on the mats and in the gym. So the foam roller, these things have been sold as a one-stop solution for mobility. That's a complete and utter lie. These things can be a handy accessory to help you become more flexible, but they're only an accessory. So what I'm going to show you today is 4 simple drills that you can do with a foam roller. And I want you to see these drills as just the starting point for you then to be able to access more dynamic mobility drills or mobility drills where we're moving the body, all right? The idea is that when you're using a foam roller, you're actually only unlocking your hips or whatever it is that you're rolling for a short term. So you have like this window. So you want to do this before you train. That's before you train jiu-jitsu or before you do your weightlifting or before you do your bulletproof mobility training. Spend 5 to 8 minutes on the roller and that's going to help set you up so that you can move at your best in that session, okay? But like I said in the beginning, this alone is not a solution. So it's handy to have one. If you're a gym owner, I suggest you have 3 or 4 of these hanging around. Encourage your students to come to training early, jump on the roller for 10 minutes. It's a great thing to have and it is gonna help you move better on the mat. So let's get into the drills. All right, so the first area that we wanna get into with our foam rolling is gonna be the ITB. Now this is a piece of tissue runs down the side of the thigh here. So really from your knee to your hip. And it's a band of connective tissue. It's not a muscle. It's extremely hard. It's very common that in our modern lives with a lot of sitting and that kind of thing, that the ITB becomes very tight. What can happen there is it can apply some pressure to the knee and can actually pull the patella slightly out of alignment. By freeing up the ITB, you're gonna allow your hips to move better. And so we wanna get into this with the roller. So all we're gonna do with that is we're gonna get on our side, we're gonna place some weight on our elbow, and then we're gonna use our top leg as a support. It's gonna sit in front of the leg that we're rolling on. So the idea is I'm balancing my weight on the roller and then I've got one foot on the ground and one arm on the ground. And from there, I'm just gonna be working my way up and down the ITB. Really what you're looking for is to find the spots that feel uncomfortable for you. You will know about it when you get there. Most people will wince with a little bit of discomfort when they start rolling the ITB. This is very normal. The main thing is that we don't need to spend time on areas that don't feel sticky or uncomfortable. We wanna look for those sore spots and we wanna work into those. You'll notice that I'm not just rolling up and down constantly. I'm actually looking to find a location where it's a little bit uncomfortable and I'm just gonna hang out there a little bit. So I'm gonna keep consistent pressure on the area and then I might slowly work my way back and forward, very small movements over that one area for 30 seconds or so. Then I'll move along and find the next area. Now keep in mind too, we can also rotate our body belly down or belly up in order to slightly change the vector or the area that we're hitting. So think of it as a bit of an exploration, find the sore spots for you and work on that. You're gonna spend around 90 seconds to 2 minutes on each side. So the next spot we're gonna work into is gonna be the glute. So this is the ass. This is also gonna go up in towards the lower back. Now you'll see with my setup here that I wanna keep my hip flexed and I wanna keep this knee bent. And I do that by just setting up my foot to rest on my opposite knee. I'm then gonna be using one foot on the ground, so the other foot, and one hand. And you can be on the elbow or the hand, it's really what's more comfortable for you, to support my weight while I gently roll through the glute and through that region. Now, this is not a huge, long piece of tissue, not as long as the ITB. It's a bit more compact, so we're gonna be doing less movement here, and we're gonna be looking to just keep consistent weight around that area and then exploring to try and find the tight spots. Again, fish around, look for those different corners of the muscles and of that area. And when you find something that's uncomfortable for you and feels a bit tight, spend a bit of time on that. We're gonna spend 90 seconds to 2 minutes on each side. The next spot we're looking for is to get into the front of the thigh and up into the hip flexors. Now, there's a lot of muscle going on through the thigh, so you wanna take the time to search for the different aspects that are gonna work for you. Now, this one's a little bit simpler to get into. I'm just lying face down on the ground. I have both of my elbows on the floor and I'm supporting weight through my other leg or my other foot. It's important I work a little bit of left to right with this one as well. So I'm gonna start by searching up and down the quad until I find something that's a little bit sticky. Then once I find it, I'm gonna hold there. And then I'm just gonna look for a little bit of gentle left to right where I'm kind of working across the fibers of that muscle. Again, There's a lot of different aspects to the quadriceps. There's 4 key muscles there. You might find that one certain area is tighter than others, so really take the time to explore around. With this one, I also like to roll right up into the hip flexors. So for this, we're moving a little bit more in towards the groin. I sometimes find it handy to position myself more towards the end of the roller, just so I can kind of use that corner piece of the roller to get into the hip flexors a little bit. Cool thing to note is if the foam roller is not really giving you enough intensity, you could use something firmer, like a piece of PVC pipe or even a metal water bottle. I have a stainless steel water bottle that works really well as a foam roller. I actually find these ones these days are a little bit too soft for me. But yeah, you can use something like that to get in there. So if you're not really getting the feedback or the pressure you need from the foam roller, switch to an object that's a little bit harder. All right, last spot we're getting into is the VMO. And so that is this kind of inside muscle here, just at the top of the knee. It's actually quite big, but we only see a small section of it. It looks like a little teardrop or a big teardrop here above the kneecap. For this one here, I'm gonna flare my leg out to the side. So I'm just opening up the hip. I'm gonna keep my knee bent. And you'll notice that I position the roller at a bit of an angle. The roller's at an angle of about 45 degrees to my torso. And then I'm just gently moving back and forth across the VMO. Now we're working quite a small section of the muscle. This is pretty sharp, the sensation on this one. It's uncomfortable, but it's good stuff. Again, all of these muscles are affecting how our knees work and how our hips operate. So if we can spend a little time to do the foam rolling before we train, it's really gonna help to free up our movement. So one of the best things about doing the foam rolling before you train is we're bringing blood flow to the area, which is obviously going to help your muscles get warmer so that you can train them. But it's also this soft tissue kind of massage that you're doing to yourself. Now, when we work that, one of the main things we're doing is we're breaking up adhesions. And adhesions are when we have different layers of tissue that have become stuck together. Now, if you sit down in a chair all day, you can kind of see that over time, this compression, all of your weight on the chair, starts to squash tissues together and it stops them sliding nice and freely. So think you've got your skin, you've got muscle, you've got fascia, you've got fat, you've got all sorts of different layers in there. We want these layers to move independently. So using the foam roller before you do your training, be it jiu-jitsu or your weightlifting or mobility work, is going to help you to move better in that session. 2 little tips that I wanted to mention when you are foam rolling, and this applies when you're doing your stretching work in general, is you want to be sure not to be making a funny face when you're doing the stuff. It's really typical that people get onto the foam roller and start making these kind of wincy faces like this. We don't want to start to make that neurological connection in the body. And also, when you're in an uncomfortable position on the mats, you're more likely to give away the fact that you're uncomfortable. Better to just try and maintain a neutral face. It's gonna make you look like less of a dork, and it's also gonna help you to maintain a more savage appearance when you're rolling jiu-jitsu. The second thing is that you wanna keep your breathing under control. So as much nasal breathing as possible. If you can just keep your lips closed and breathe in and out only through the nose, that would be ideal. If you find yourself needing a little bit more air, you can take the odd couple of breaths in the mouth, but try to take it back to nasal breathing as quick as possible. All right, guys, so that's my 4 top drills for how you can use a foam roller to get better mobility and movement through your hips. Like I said at the beginning, you want to do this before you train jiu-jitsu or before you step into the gym to do your lifting or your more dynamic mobility work. These are not a one-size-fits-all solution. These are just an accessory that you can use to get more mobile. I'll be honest, I don't use a foam roller a lot these days. However, back in the day when I was a bit tighter, they were a really good go-to for me. And I do think it's a really worthwhile tool to have in your home gym. And if you're an academy owner, it's a really worthwhile tool to have there at the gym so people can use them. It's great, you can use them between rounds. You can use it as part of the warm-up. It's really up to you, but they're really simple to get into and they don't cost a lot of energy when you're working on it. If you want a hand with any of your mobility stuff, check out our other videos. We post as much content as we can about how to become stronger and more flexible for jiu-jitsu. And as we see it, it is one and the same, strength and flexibility. It all goes together. So it's kind of on a spectrum there. So we want to be flexible and we want to be strong. If you want further help with that, give our program a try. We have bulletproofforbjj.com, a full members site with strength and mobility programs that is designed to fit into your busy schedule, and they can apply to your training right there on the mats. Bulletproofforbjj.com, check it out, and we'll see you in the next one.